Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to answer the question, is MercadoLibre stock a buy right now? I'm going to use my simplified 6-step framework for analysis, so let's get right into it. Of course, the first step in my framework is customer value, and MercadoLibre is a e-commerce marketplace, payment processing, logistics, and financing firm that operates primarily in Latin America. You could think of it as like a Amazon and PayPal of Latin America. It's done an excellent job in gaining a foothold there. Revenue has soared from 374 million in 2012 to 7.1 billion in 2021. So strong evidence that customers are liking what MercadoLibre has to offer. And it carries a net promoter score of 13, which if we look at the scale here, the net promoter score of 13 is good. And if you don't know, net promoter score measures how likely a customer is to recommend this service to a friend or a colleague. And the higher the score they assign, the higher the chances are that this customer is going to return to Mercado Libre, continue shopping with it, recommend it to their friends, and overall become an excellent customer. So how well, it's kind of a proxy to measure how well Mercado Libre serves its customers. The next step in my framework looks at unit economics, and the marketplace and logistics business requires heavy upfront investments that then scale as customer usage intensifies. So what you want to see in this kind of business is economies in scale. You want to see margins expand as revenue grows, and Mercado Libre is showing that the operating profit margin has climbed from negative 4.8% in 2018 to 11% in the quarter that ended in September. So there is evidence in economies in scale here for Mercado Libre. And the next step in my framework looks at the total addressable market. And according to America's Market Intelligence, the Latin American e-commerce segment alone is estimated to generate $700 billion in annual revenue by 2025. So a massive market here. The next step in my framework looks at competition, and of course, Mercado Libre is competing with powerful competitors like Amazon and Sea Limited. However, industry participants are scaling back spending, they're increasing fees on merchants, and altogether becoming less promotional, and this is good news for investors in Mercado Libre stock. The next step in my framework looks at valuation, and Mercado Libre is relatively inexpensive. Looking at the price to free cash flow ratio here of 28. If we go back all the way to before 2014, investors have rarely had the opportunity to buy Mercado Libre stock at a lower valuation than it is right now. So relatively inexpensive Mercado Libre stock. And the final step in my framework looks at risks. The financing side of the business could take increasing rate of losses if the current macroeconomic headwinds lead to deep and prolonged recession. That could lead customers to lose their jobs and then ultimately default on their debt. And then longer term, the deeper pocketed rivals, like I mentioned earlier, could ramp up investments in Latin America during the next economic expansion. Right now, Amazon is reducing expenses and trying to focus a little bit more on profitability because of the near-term headwinds that it's facing. However, when that reverses, when economies return to growth and expansion mode, Amazon could change its tune here and just ramp up its investment in the Latin American market and try and take market share from Mercado Libre. And Amazon is a deep pocketed rival that could pose a risk for Mercado Libre longer term. So now that I've looked at each step in my framework, let me give Mercado Libre a grade. Customer value, I gave them an A-. Evidence in the expanding, exploding revenue suggests customers like what they see from Mercado Libre. Unit economics, I gave them a B. Although there was evidence in economies and scale, the margins are relatively thin, and the heavy investments required to continue growing suggest that margins might contract again before they expand longer term. Total addressable market, I gave them an A+, massive e-commerce industry in Latin America. Competition, I gave them a B because the near-term friendliness in the e-commerce industry could turn into fierce competition when the worldwide economies return to growth. Risks, I gave them a B plus because of that longer term risk from Amazon, and then the shorter term risk from defaults in its lending segment. And valuation, I gave them an A minus because the stock is cheaper than it's been going all the way back before 2014. You haven't been able to buy MercadoLibre stock at a valuation lower than you can buy it at now when measured by the price to free cash flow ratio. Okay, so in the next slide, I'm going to answer the question if MercadoLibre stock is a buy right now. But before I do that, I would like to recommend that you subscribe to my channel because I'm going to provide updates to the recommendation on the next slide. And you're going to want to be subscribed to tune into those updates because those recommendations change and they could change in a hurry. You're going to want to be tuned in to be notified of those changes. All right, so without further ado, let's answer the question: is MercadoLibre a buy right now? Yes, it is. MercadoLibre stock is a buy right now. The company's operating in a massive total addressable market, showing evidence in economies in scale, and the stock is trading cheaper than it has been in the last roughly 10 years or so. So yes, I would recommend MercadoLibre stock as a buy right now. So thank you for watching, and if you've subscribed, I'll see you next time. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for all investors of all skill sets and risk levels. So I'm proud to partner with the Motley Fool to bring you 10 stock picks from their popular product, Stock Advisor. Stock Advisor has beaten the market by more than 3 times. Go to fool.com/parkev to get your 10 stock picks now.